Well, Racing Bulls finally got their 2026 Challenger on track at Imola, and things got spicy pretty quickly. Their brand new car ended up in the gravel trap, and social media went absolutely wild. Let me walk you through everything that went down and what it actually means. So the team brought their VCarb 3 to the Imola circuit for its very first run. Smart choice actually, since their headquarters in Faenza is just a stone's throw away. If anything went wrong, they could get parts or engineers there in minutes. The weather wasn't cooperating though. Rain was falling, temperatures were low, and they were stuck using demonstration wet tyres for the entire session. The morning started with some minor technical hiccups, nothing unusual for a completely new machine. Liam Lawson strapped in first and headed out for an installation lap just after midday. Everything looked good. The car was running, systems were functioning, and the team was happy with what they saw. Then, it was time for the rookie to have his go. Arvid Lindblad climbed into the cockpit for what should have been a straightforward few laps. Instead, he lost the rear end at the Villeneuve chicane and slid straight into the gravel. The recovery truck had to come out and drag the car back to the pits. Let me give you some context here. Lindblad is 18 years old. He's never sat in a 2026 specification car before. The track was soaking wet. The tyres he was running aren't meant for actual performance driving, and this was literally his first time behind the wheel of this machine. When you look at it that way, a spin isn't exactly surprising. The positive news is that the car came away without any serious damage. The team can still complete their allocated running, and they've got a full filming day coming up where both drivers will rack up proper mileage. But let's move on and discuss what we actually observed about the car itself. The livery matches what we saw at the Ford partnership reveal in Detroit. But the thing that caught everyone's attention is that enormous airbox sitting on top of the engine cover. Some people are speculating that Red Bull powertrains might have cooling challenges with their new power unit. Others think it's simply an aerodynamic decision. The truth is, we won't know until we see more running. This shakedown also represented a milestone for Red Bull powertrains. Their engine has never turned a wheel on a proper circuit until now. Years of development, countless dyno hours, and finally it's out there making noise on an actual racetrack. And speaking of noise, can we talk about how these new cars sound? The power units for 2026 are fundamentally different from what we've had before. Everything runs on sustainable fuel. All of these changes affect the acoustic signature of the engines. Reactions from fans have been all over the place. Some absolutely love what they're hearing. They describe it as rawer, angrier, more exciting than the previous generation. Others aren't convinced at all. They want the screaming V10s back and think these new units still sound too muted. The dynamic between Racing Bulls and their sister team Red Bull will be worth monitoring closely. Identical power units, shared resources, yet direct competitors when the lights go out. Historically, Racing Bulls played second fiddle, but regulation resets can shuffle the deck. There's been plenty of chatter about certain manufacturers exploiting grey areas in the regulations to extract additional performance. Their driver combination is intriguing too. Lawson has demonstrated he belongs in Formula One. He's rapid, he's fearless, and he carries that trademark Red Bull aggression. Lindblad brings raw talent, but he's still a teenager learning his craft at the highest level. The big unknown is whether Lindblad can cope with the intense spotlight of Formula One. His spin will be replayed endlessly. Every future mistake will be scrutinised. That's simply how this sport operates. Alan Permain, the team principal, has been managing expectations. He's made it clear that Lindblad's first year will be tough. The objective isn't to win races immediately. It's about growth, learning, and occasionally showing glimpses of his potential. The Barcelona pre-season test is where things get serious. That's when we'll genuinely understand the pecking order. Imola was purely about verification, making sure nothing was fundamentally broken. Barcelona is where the competitive picture starts forming. Despite the gravel trap incident, Imola delivered useful information. The car functioned, the engine performed. Data was collected. Lindblad spinning is actually what testing exists for. You'd much rather discover the limits now than during a race weekend. For Lindblad, bouncing back from this spin matters enormously. If he returns for the filming day and delivers clean, confident laps, that demonstrates mental strength. The greatest drivers in history all had embarrassing early moments. The defining factor is always how they responded. So give me your predictions. Where does Racing Bulls end up in the championship standings? Which driver comes out on top between Lawson and Lindblad? And what's your verdict on that gravel trap moment? This season promises to be utterly unpredictable. Fresh regulations, new power units, additional teams, young drivers everywhere. The competitive landscape is a complete mystery right now. Racing Bulls might surprise everyone. They might also struggle badly. That's the beauty of a regulation change. Every piece of footage, every shakedown, every snippet of information helps complete the picture. And what we witnessed at Imola gave us our first proper glimpse of the Racing Bulls chapter. One aspect I haven't touched on yet is the strategic thinking behind choosing Imola for this shakedown. Most teams head to Barcelona or even Bahrain for their initial running. Racing Bulls went local instead. Having the factory nearby meant engineers could respond instantly to any problems. If a part needed replacing or modifying, it was minutes away rather than hours. That's clever planning for a first outing. The filming day coming up will tell us much more. 200 kilometers of running gives both drivers substantial seat time. They'll start understanding the car's behavior, its quirks, its strengths and weaknesses. That knowledge becomes invaluable when Barcelona arrives. Lindblad's recovery from this incident will shape how people perceive him going forward. Formula One is brutal on rookies who show weakness, but it rewards those who demonstrate resilience. If he steps back into that cockpit and drives with confidence, the narrative shifts completely. The spin becomes a footnote rather than a headline. The broader story here is about Racing Bulls' ambitions for 2026. They're no longer content being the development squad for Red Bull. They want results of their own. Whether they can achieve that depends on countless factors we won't understand until Melbourne. But what we do know is that the highly anticipated Red Bull Ford powertrain exists, it runs, and it showed to be reliable as it survived its first real test despite an unexpected trip through the gravel. Spain will tell us now how it compares to Audi, Ferrari, Mercedes and Honda engines. The hype is very real. The countdown to the season continues. Every day brings new information, new reveals, new drama. Stay tuned for more updates as testing progresses. This is going to be one hell of a season. Subscribe if you want to stay updated on all the 2026 action. Plenty more content is coming your way. Catch you next time.